Hi, welcome to Spill. My name is Davis.
My name's Cam.
And we're two besties from Indiana, living in New York, living the fantasy.
Yeah, making a little video for our viewing pleasure, and maybe yours as well.
Fingers crossed, you'll have to sound off in the comments. Let us know.
Comments will be turned off for this video.
Okay, Cam, what's going on? What's on your mind?
I've had a little bit of a chaotic day. I was trying to go to bed at like 10 p.m. last night. I ended up going to bed till 4. And then right before we started this podcast, I spilled an entire cold brew all over Davis's books.
Oh my God.
Items.
Not spilling.
I spilled. So
It's kind of a fierce omen.
And then I broke something. So I think Davis is actually like a little mad at me right now. But
No, I was, but then when you said like the deep breath, let it go, reset, that was a really transformative moment for me, and I'm kind of feeling brand new.
How are you doing?
I'm good. I got a little bit too fucked up last night, and so now I have been in constant conversation with my demons today around my thoughts about that. Because I'm just realizing how much it's not fun to feel stupider.
Yeah. It's funny you learn that like when you're in college, or you learn that when you're like,
I certainly
in high
did
school.
not learn that when I was
you
in
did actually
college.
not. But then you unlearn it in college.
Yeah, I didn't learn that in high school, and I certainly did not learn it in college. And I think in the years after college, I think I was still in a constant state of not learning that.
Yeah.
So I was consistent, at least.
True. I know. I've been really trying to channel my inner peace, my inner smart. So
How is that going?
it's going actually not too well. I've had a couple weekends just like with people visiting where I don't know. I need to get back to my.
We finish.
I was gonna say introverted. Like I need to stop being so social. I need to like get back to like the basics.
Okay, so this is one of the many things that kind of leaves me scratching my head, wondering if there's something really wrong with me, because you and other people I know kind of have a bit of a revolving door of friends coming to visit you.
Yeah.
Nobody has ever asked to come visit me.
That's actually crazy.
And I think I'm very friendly. I love my friends. I ride hard for my bitches. But maybe I don't. I say that, but like, what would riding hard actually entail? Because maybe I don't know what I don't know. And maybe I'm actually riding very weakly. Maybe I might not even be in the car.
That's actually so funny because I think ever since I moved to New York, and I think if you live in New York or LA or Miami, I think those are like probably maybe San Diego or something, like your apartment becomes like basically a hotel for like your close friends.
Your close broke bitches.
Your close broke bitches, especially when you're from a small Indiana town. Like you are very likely the only person that your friend knows who lives in New York. So when they want to come to the East Coast, like bitch, you are getting a call immediately. But maybe you are.
Well, yeah, I beg to differ. My experience says that that's not happening. But also, people from my hometown are certainly, shout out Crawfordsville, people from my hometown are certainly not coming to New York, or at least not very often.
Okay, interesting.
I don't know if it's a financial thing.
Well, every time I'm home, I swear, like I frequent like the local bar when I'm home and call the local, shout out the local. And every time I'm there, someone comes up to me and they're like, oh my gosh, like, you know, like how are things going? I tell them I live in New York. And I always get like, there's always one person that's like, it's Christmas, for example, and they're like, oh my God, I'm going to New York in August. Like, will you be there? And I'm like, maybe.
Right. Okay, for context, for our international listeners who just jumped in and are getting to know us for the first time, lucky you. You should know Cam and I are both from Indiana, which I think I already said, but we're both from not rural, but very small town.
Yeah, I would consider rural me.
There was a cornfield across from my neighborhood growing up.
We don't have a McDonald's in my town.
Oh, you don't have a McDonald's?
We don't have a McDonald's.
Could have fooled me.
You would be shocked.
Listen, country girls make do.
Country girls make do. We had a Subway in a dream, my town.
We had a lot of subways.
Yeah.
My hometown had a very small population. We had a lot of subways. a lot of pizza places that were like, some chains, some small independently owned or whatever. Then we also had a lot of gas stations, but I think that's normal. We also had like a lot of meth and heroin.
Oh, but, yeah. I remember, like, when I was in school, it's actually kind of sad, but actually I might cut this part out, but I remember, like, there was this place, like, across from us, and I remember it just, like, one day it was, like, boarded up, and it had looked like an explosion happened. I was like, oh my god, like, what happened, you know, like, in the house? And it was, like, of course, like, clockwork meth.
Yeah.
But I, like, had known the people who lived in that house.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
This is such an ignorant question, and unfortunately there's no way to find out, but you've watched Breaking Bad?
Yeah.
Okay, I haven't, so I'm really completely in the dark here.
Oh, so you, like, don't know anything
Well, I'm, like, mostly in the dark here.
We really are cutting this one out.
In terms of what's happening that's causing this big explosion, I know that it's the cooking of meth, but, like, what's so dangerous there?
Good, I don't know.
Yeah.
There's maybe like a chemical reaction.
I think I think that's, I think making a synthetic drug, it would make sense that there would be a chemical reaction.
The logical explanation.
Yeah. Do you think you would ever, are you like city life, whether it's New York or, you know, Los Angeles or Miami or, well, no, yeah, those are pretty much it. DC, I know you're feeling DC.
Yeah.
But are you like a city until you die, or do you think you could see yourself going back to somewhere even remotely close to like the ruralness from which you came?
Yeah, it would have to either be like rural, like I'm out in like the country on the farm, or I'm like, I don't think I can do like a Midwestern suburb, because there's something very specific about that, like the Midwest has with suburbs, that if you like go to like Westchester, New Jersey or something like that, the suburbs are not like that.
What makes you feel like you have the authority to make that observation?
Because I've been to the suburbs and I've been to the suburbs in the Midwest.
Is Westchester, that's New York?
Yeah, it's like if you live in Manhattan, you would consider upstate.
Okay. I think upstate is different than suburbs, though.
Right.
I mean, like,
but
I've been to Woodstock, and that's, which, I don't know, kind of almost has it in some ways matches the same descriptor as the suburbs, in that some people live up there and they commute into the city, which is wild, but also the MTA North will work your pussy out.
Yeah, I know it will.
Yeah.
Metro North.
Yeah, but they'll shout out brand endorsed product placement. No. But yeah, people will come from up there, but when you go up there, there's not, I think in order to be a suburb, you have to have strip malls.
See,
you have to have houses that are like in neighborhoods that are, what's that, like mass produced?
No,
homes.
but that's not what the US would define as.
That's
like
what Lord was singing about.
Right, because there's like this dystopic idea of the suburbs, but that's what I'm saying is like that's the suburbs I would never live in. But if you go to like Poughkeepsie, for example, that overlooks the Hudson Valley, it's still the suburbs. It's not in the city. It's not in the country. It's a suburban area. Suburban.
Sometimes when I go home, I'm so serious when I say this. Like, again, small town, certainly not a suburb. Which, I don't know if that's, this is not a flex or a not flex. It's just like a neutral statement. I did not grow up in a suburb. But, like, if I'm home and I'm driving, which is always exciting coming from New York, so we never get to drive.
Right.
I will drive through, like, there's, like, I don't know, 3 maybe kind of nicer neighborhoods with big 2-story houses in it. And I will intentionally go to those neighborhoods. I'm listening to pure heroin.
Like, at least
I'm taking like a whole detour to this place where the neighborhoods, I did not grow up in these neighborhoods, but I'm just doing like a lap.
You said I'm so glad I didn't grow up in these $2 million McMansions. You said like this would have been, I wouldn't have been the person I am today.
Right. When did you become a Lana fan?
So my best friend in high school was super into Lana. She was depressed. She was depressed. Yeah. She was like,
is she still with us?
Actually, she was the friend who visited last weekend.
Oh, yeah. Come on, call back.
And she introduced me. And obviously, like, I already had a target on my back being from, like, a small school and gay. And that is, like, really just, I mean, like, if I was.
And for context, we both came out right after high school.
I came out in college. So, I mean, but at that point, like, baby, step out of the closet.
Sure.
But that's like when I became, and then I went to the Ultraviolence tour when I was I was 16, so I was like a sophomore.
I was supposed to go to that. I did a ticket, and my parents made me sell it because I got grounded.
Oh.
But, well, the reason I bring it up, though, is, okay, so I got into Lana, I think, when I was in the 8th grade.
Okay.
So just a little bit before that. It was still, like, Paradise was out.
Yeah, okay. I think we're the same era.
Yeah.
Lana.
And that was honestly such a I feel very lucky to have experienced her during that time, because if not, I don't think I would have been able to enjoy and embrace, like, the beauty or the of being in a small town like that.
Yeah.
Because Lana Del Rey's music really does romanticize, like, really small, ordinary things, whereas so much of all the other music that you get to listen to is about being in the city and going to the club and listening to music, dancing with your friends. First of all, I was 14. Second of all, my hometown did not have a club, and so I certainly was not popping bottles in the club with said friends. But I did have a Coca-Cola and an American flag.
And I was listening to Riot, and I had a dream. No, I wonder, like, this generation, when they're listening to, like, Ethel Cain, I'm like, bitch, they must be living. I mean, she makes depressing music.
I have not jumped aboard yet.
Okay, I mean, talk about just, like,
Depression,
like, Midwest, like, white trash type, like.
And she's from Florida, though, isn't she?
Yeah. But that's, like, she's not from Miami.
She's not from Miami. Yeah. Someone once said to me, this was someone who I think was from Florida. They said, yeah, Florida is like if you took the U.S. and you picked it up and you put it on its side and you just shook it, and everything that was kind of unstable then fell down into into that southeast corner. That's how you get Florida.
They used to have this, I think it was, like, on the morning radio. I don't think it was Bob and Tom, but, like, maybe something. It was, like, morning talk show. And they would do a segment.
Shout out Bob and Tom.
And Christy. She never got the love she deserved. But
it was a different time for women.
It was a different time for women. But they would do a segment called Ohio or Florida, and they would do some, like, man, like, kills 6 people, like, outside fast food McDonald's, and, like, hides in dumpster for, like, 4 days away from cops, and, like, people aren't actually dead, like, he didn't actually kill them, like, just some absurd story.
Sure.
And you'd have to guess, like, Ohio or Florida.
Yeah, and were you getting them correct?
No, like, it's pretty interchangeable, actually.
Right. Did you ever there was a challenge, a trend, I guess, on Twitter a few years ago, where it was Google your birthday with the words Florida man, and then just, I guess, for your own personal enjoyment, take a look at the first story.
I actually remember mine, yeah.
I remember mine too. Okay, fine, I'll go first. So, I don't know, mine wasn't amazing. It was that a guy was on Facebook Live flashing his fat stacks of dollar bills that he had, I guess, presumably gotten through illegal endeavors.
Yeah.
And then on the Facebook Live, like, boom, door gets kicked down, FBI, like, comes in and takes them away.
Wow.
Which, I don't know, that's not actually super crazy, but shout out Facebook Live.
Shout out Facebook Live. No, mine was, like, Florida man, like, survives 5 gunshot wounds and, like, eats someone on, like, bath salts or something.
Oh, wow.
It was, like, right when that was, like, the peak of the bath salts craze, and the
bath salts craze.
The summer of 13, as you may recall.
Right.
And they thought everyone was, like, coming, there was, like, a zombie outbreak, but it was actually just people on bath salts in Florida.
Yeah. What a weird time. Okay, so you would do so you're saying you would live somewhere.
Yeah, so I would live somewhere else. Well, I don't know. I'm kind of like, Manhattan's, like, someone I saw, they're like, it's like a toxic relationship because, like, it loves you. So I'm, like, really in love with her right now. So I'm like, I don't know if I could move out of the city.
Right. Well, it's spring. We're getting sprung.
Yeah.
And then what's after spring? Summer, baby. And that's exciting.
No, that's, the warmer weather always helps. But I will say, and this is, like, I think, like, super evident this time of year, Did you see the Chloe Sevigny thing where the interview where they're like, what do you think about me? Like, what's wrong with New York right now? And she was like,
Wait, I know this name, but who is she?
She's like a downtown, like, New York indie scene. She was like an American Horror Story.
Okay, sure. Go on.
Yeah. But they were like, she's just like lived in Manhattan forever. And she was like, I think the problem with Manhattan is that like everyone has dogs and is like in athleisure.
Oh.
This is like a topic conversation.
Okay, wait, I did see this.
Yeah.
I think that is not the problem.
Oh.
You think that's the problem?
I think that's the problem.
I think that might be the solution.
No.
No, because we've talked about this off air. And because I'm a big fan of LA, for background for the listener, for the viewer on our YouTube channel, I'm a ticking time bomb. I'm 3 years. We're both. Well, you're 2 years in New York. I'm 3 years.
Yeah.
I have anywhere between 1 to like maybe 4 or 5 years left in me, and then it's off to LA to dance at that Pink Pony Club.
Yeah.
But we were talking about how in LA, in your words, it's as if. Or in New York, it's as if everyone was taking a big inhale, and then in LA, it's like everybody took an exhale.
Yeah.
And I don't know, athleisure and walking around with your dog is very exhale behavior.
No, it is exhale behavior.
So I'm getting lost in your arguments, if we want to call it that.
I know. I think it's a good argument. I think like I do think when you go out in New York, there's an expectation that you at least wear like something nice-ish. Like
athleisure can be cunt though.
Like, I think that's the problem is, like, people are trying to make athleisure too nice. They're not just, like, putting on, like, pants. Like, real pants. Do you know what I mean? Okay.
What the listeners know is that I've been...
This dog is gonna fucking run out here, like, any minute.
I've literally been running around wearing these bike shorts that I stole from my roommate all day long.
It's different for you.
It is different for me. Well, exactly, because it's cunty.
You said I'm serving. And
I'm serving, and I've heard no complaints.
There is something...
I'm giving Princess Diana. You would never say that to her.
No, I don't think I would.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, the dog thing though.
What about it?
When I moved here and I was like, I saw a dog in the grocery store and I was like, you know, like Chloe Sevigny saying this is kind of like when your straight friend like kind of wants to say something homophobic, but like you say it, like you say something homophobic and they're like, oh, thanks, like I'm so glad you said that. Like Chloe Sevigny can say it because like she's lived in New York for 30 years, but I can't say I hate dogs. I've only been here for 2 years, and that's like an annoying thing to say. But I remember when I moved here, I was like, why are these dogs in the grocery store?
See, I order from Instacart, so I guess I just don't know.
Yeah. Dogs don't need to be in the whole thing.
I mean, it's affecting you in a negative way? See, every time I see a
I
dog...
just find it enjoyable.
That's really... I think there's a darkness in your soul that needs... I was going to say... I think there's a darkness in your soul that you need to address. Because when I as someone who I would describe as being healed and joyful, when I see a dog, it's a big, beautiful smile on my face, love in my heart. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I go like...
I think this is something they don't teach you when you're growing up, so I think it's very important as an adult to realize it's okay not to like dogs.
We're going to have to cut this part. Okay, wait, so what's crazy bonkers cuckoo bananas is the fact that you start to talk about how New York is kind of like a toxic relationship, which when you say that, I'm like, I'm seated. Literally, I'm seated, I'm listening, I think you're making sense in a lot of ways. And the fact that your first talking point is the athleisure and the dogs, not like the hustle culture or like the shit public. I mean, I know we can't show the public transit too much because it's the best public transit in the United States.
Yeah, I know it is.
But like, unfortunately, I did a 6-week internship in Singapore in college, and what the problem with doing that is you come back, you come to New York, and you're like, you know what? The train can be on time. the bus can be on time, and things can be a lot cleaner. It's possible.
It is. That is true. That was just top of mind, but I do think... I mean, Singapore's a little bit different, right? Because there's like very strict.
Well, it's a newer nation, so I think
they do public execution for like littering, right?
No, just like chewing gum,
Oh, okay.
which I'm also a fan of.
Oh, I think the gum chewers are ruining New York.
No, I think we have too freely accepted the fact that we all live in a constant. Well, correct me if I'm wrong. Do you not live to some degree in a constant state of fear in public places at restaurants of accidentally touching the bottom of a table?
Yeah, that's a good point.
No, we should not have that concern.
Yeah,
You know, like the bottom of the table is actually really close to us all the time.
yeah.
It's on the other side of the top.
But isn't it so weird? That's kind of like, it's like we should outlaw gun. Well, yes, gum. We should outlaw. We should outlaw gum instead of just like teaching people not to put gum on the bottom of tables. Because why do people do that?
It's really crazy.
I have never done that. I was not raised like that. Have you ever?
I've never done that. I mean, I've definitely. So I hate chewing gum. I think it's weird. I think it's crazy. However, if I'm really the only time would be if I'm at a party, and yeah, if I feel like I need to, maybe I'm kissing cute boys and I just want to make sure everything is cute, I will. But sometimes I don't think I've ever dropped on the ground. I know I have gotten very close to almost dropping it on the ground or being in a state of not panic but upset because there's not always a trash can nearby.
Yeah.
And the idea of having it on your person is also horrible.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's like not even my own I'm grossed out by. I don't want anything near me. I don't want to swallow it because I maybe incorrectly believe that it's gonna stay in there forever and ever.
You're infamously also like not known for your pocket, so it's not like you can put like
right. Yeah, I famously don't have pockets.
Famously does not have pockets.
Yeah, I famously have none of my own belongings on me.
Right.
Yeah, no, I don't like to. I like to feel at one with the wind and sea when I'm at a party, when I'm at a venue. I just want it to be me and the music.
Right. Phone, don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's fair.
Okay, so
Shall we transition?
So just for the listeners, we actually have some really important talking points that we do need to get to. Oh wait, actually I do have one other thing, because I think that this episode is a little bit about reminiscing on our transition from Indiana to New York, kind of taking a look at that. So before we move into some of our really fun segments that we have on the docket, what are you most nostalgic for as someone who's now living in the city and will be for like the foreseeable?
Like looking back these last years, or like
like what are you nostalgic? Because also for background, I went to school in Indianapolis. You went to IU.
Yeah.
So like we had somewhat different college experiences, but still like in bigger cities ish.
Yeah.
In Indiana. And then we both came. You kind of went somewhere else, but that's not important.
I lived in Minneapolis for a bit.
Yeah, like I said, it's not important. So, all that being said, because I think there's a lot of people out there who either maybe have never lived in a small town like that, or probably more people who do and are curious about moving to a big city, or just like, not a ton of people have had both experiences, at least like within our age group. I mean, I know a lot have, but also a lot haven't.
Yeah. I think like, I don't know, I definitely there's, in New York, one thing you're not going to be is like, it's like the most inconvenient city, because it's like, you're never going to be 100% comfortable. Like, you're never going to be able to get in like your air-conditioned Suburban and just like hop over to dinner.
Drive over to your friends and do it so quickly.
It's like, in the summer, if you want to go like to your friends that live across town, it's like, you're going to spend 30 minutes sweating through your clothes, and you're not like, hop on the like frigid air-conditioned subway, and then you'll like hop out and then walk another like 10 scalding hot minutes. So I miss the convenience like of going someplace and not being dripping with sweat. I think it's like the biggest.
I always said
nostalgic for.
I have said for a while that in New York there's a higher barrier of entry when it comes to engaging in social things, because everyone's typically tired and they're busy because they're working all the time. And let's say that you end your day and you have like 15% of your energy left. If you have that 15% in LA and you're living in West Hollywood and you can hop in your car and which takes 2% energy, and then you can get to your friends and you still have 13% of your energy, that's doable.
Right.
If you're just going to be kicking back. Whereas in New York, it's going to take so much more of that energy to whether it's, unless you're going to like pay for an Uber, which can just obviously adds up over time.
Right.
Then whether it's city biking, whether it's walking, whether it's taking the subway, it's just so much more of a whole to do.
Yeah. And I like taking public transit. I like not having to worry about a car, but it's like, I do think about it.
Yeah. I'm nostalgic for nature. I'm also very nostalgic for my Indianapolis days. You've heard this a ton from me, but in New York, to me, in my opinion, is not a huge drinking culture.
Right.
Which I'm okay with not drinking a ton, but I really do miss bottomless brunch. I miss being in a community where so many of the gays would all kind of do that.
Yeah.
Where
I think this is like a gay thing specifically in New York. Like, I think people still brunch in New York.
Okay.
I don't think gays
thing.
I don't know. People probably think we're crazy because like I went out today at like 11 a.m. and like everyone was having brunch. So maybe it's just like our friends who don't brunch here.
Yeah.
But it's like, I think in like LA, for example, they have a bigger brunch culture because the bars close at 2.
That's true.
So I agree with you. Like a Saturday morning brunch is like very unfeasible for your friends.
In New York, like I worked this morning, so I wasn't out all night. Well, actually, I was, and I still worked. I just got an hour of sleep before I went and taught a class this morning. But as I was leaving for work at 6:30 something, no 6, my roommates were getting home from an afters, which is just normal.
Yeah.
And there have been plenty of times where they're out longer than that.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
No.
That's a lot. I think it's aggressive. I think that's a lot for like a standard weekend, not to like drag anybody through the mud.
Right. What?
To each their own.
Oh, okay. Quick. I guess like more quickly. Maybe this will be quick. But like, what's your peak and your pit for the past 2 years, or I guess for you 3? I can probably actually name both, but I want to hear from you. Like, I can probably name both of your peak and your pit.
Wait, okay. I kind of want to hear what you have to say first. Okay, well, actually, let me try to answer.
I actually need to think about it. But.
Yeah. I think my peak has been... that's just a hard question because I've moved here right after college, and so all of my adulthood has been here. So all the trial and tribulations of... I did 2 months in PR, pivoted to group fitness, pivoted to a year-long life coaching program, pivoted to doing different brand of fitness, and like building my business at the same time, which is hard and weird, and like you're just faced with all of your insecure. I think like my pit is that. I don't know. That's such a hard question.
No.
I think when I think about the two things that do make me happiest, I guess. I don't know if this is true, but these are the first things that come to mind. I think of the opportunities I have to dance at parties that I actually really want to go to, which is more of summer outdoor parties. Because I'm not super obsessed with being in some dungeon basement with red lights. It's not as much of a thing, but I can also thrive there. And so I think of that, and then also being in close enough proximity to do things like coffee with my friends.
Yeah.
Because that really is the type of environment that I really thrive on. So I don't know. It is like those little things. It really is. It's, those moments dancing. It's the moments at coffee with my friends. It's the moments maybe grouping up and sitting in the park. Those are all the peak. And I think the pit is just the insecurity that you deal with when... This is probably the case anywhere, but I think especially in New York, where so many people are very, very successful, and everyone's track that they're on is kind of broadcasted. Because it is such a big topic of conversation. What do you do?
Right.
What are you working on? What's your thing? Whatever. And so, I have all these things I'm working on, and I'm just in my path is a little less drawn out than someone who is, say, working
in
You know what I'm saying? In some corporate role where they're going to get a promotion, then they'll get another one, then they'll get another one, they'll get another one. It's like, okay, I really have to get creative if I'm not going to financially get left in the dust when we're all, in a decade.
Yeah. No, I think that's a good one. I think like you alluded to, there's so much stuff when you're like in your 20s in New York that's like, oh my God, this is so New York and this is like so hard. But then there's also just a piece of it when you're like, how much of this is like really just adulthood? But
right.
I don't know, everything when you live, and you lived like in Manhattan for a while, so it's like you understand like everything is always just like, it seems like it's at a 10 all the time. So it's like whenever you're stressed out or overwhelmed, it's like, I don't know. Probably my pit is like, you just had like a couple bad days where you're like crying on the subway or like doing something, you have like your sunglasses on and you're listening to like Freebird and you're just like bawling and no one cares. No one like wants to hear what you're crying about. But that's probably like, would probably be my pit. There's just like sometimes where you just like need to go to the park or like you're on the subway or in a public place and you're like, I'm gonna have to cry because I'm overwhelmed.
Yeah, and I think you have such a deep desire to be performing at a 10 out of 10 all the time, not just because it feels good to be in a good place and to be succeeding, obviously that's always the case, but also we are spending so much to be here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so it takes it has taken a lot of growth for me, and it's then still a process and a journey to have the grace and compassion for myself when I need to not go out, when I need to not do anything.
Yeah.
And realize that is very much the right decision, and that I don't have to look at that as, oh wow, boo-hoo, poor me, like this fucking sucks. I am actively losing money just by existing,
right,
and not taking advantage of every exciting thing that could be happening.
Yeah, I think like it's so funny. I was at brunch like a couple weekends ago with one of my friends who has like a visa to work in the US, and he's like, I have to like stick with my current job because like I need a visa to be here, like to be in New York.
Does he hate it?
Well, no, he loves New York, but he's like he's so tied to his job.
Sure.
But then we kind of were like, oh yeah, it makes sense. And we're kind of thinking about it. And we're like, okay, well, I guess we're all kind of like tied to our job to be able to live in New York in some way. So it adds like an extra layer of stress knowing that you have to like hustle. That's like the hustle culture. It's like you.
Well, and I mean, we don't even have to talk too much about this because I think it gets pretty boring. But healthcare. Oh my gosh! I mean, having to navigate that is like I've gone.
Yeah, but that's like just an adult thing.
no, but like in the U.S.
Yeah.
In the U.S., the fact that it's so tied to employment is what I'm saying.
Yes.
Whereas when everything is so expensive, healthcare is tied to your employment. So yeah, that's another layer of wow. It's so easy to quickly feel stuck.
Yeah. No, I think that's important. I think like on the peak pit or the peak part of that is just like, since everything's turned up to the 10th degree, it's like when you're drinking a bottle of Prosecco in like Central Park with like your closest friends and you're listening to music, like something about it is just so like satisfying.
Right. I also think there's probably infinitely more opportunities for us to practice gratitude more than we do. And I just say that because there's probably so many things, whether it's our proximity to interesting people that we meet at pre-games or whatever, or little class. It's like there's all these little things that just would not be available to us as much in so many other places.
I'm gonna take back my peak actually is when I saw all three Jonas Brothers on Fifth Avenue. Oh. Like on a random Saturday, and they were on Jimmy Fallon that night. That was my peak.
I love that. Okay, let's take a look at our list of things we need to talk about today. So I see that you had wrote Life Without Cell Phones. Do you care to chat about this?
I would like to talk about this.
Yeah.
I don't know. People have not been very indulgent of my idea of this lately. I've been watching Sex in the City, but also just like some other like, 90s, early 2000s New York stuff where it's like their technology is kind of like a background piece, or they don't really like, you can kind of see like the advent of cell phones, but it's like the story didn't start that way. Like Sex in the City, no one had like a cell phone really. So I just think there's something really nice to that, and I know how much time I spend on my screen. I just think there's so much that has like died in culture with cell phones.
It does actively make the real world less exciting.
Yeah.
Do you think that? I think that's fair to say. I don't even know if that's. I don't think that's like a controversial statement even.
Yeah.
Because just the fact that you can be at a party, but I mean, you can be at a party and at any given moment see so many people on their phones.
Yeah.
But even outside of that, just the fact that I can't imagine with my Gen Z brain what it would have been like to be on the subway. What did people talk to each other? Was that a thing?
No,
a really stupid question.
No, I mean they read the newspaper, like had a book.
They read the okay.
Yeah,
everyone, all of them.
I mean, or you just sat there, you listened to like your Walkman or something. Like I think like maybe a little bit of that's like that's nice,
a little idealistic.
But yeah, everyone's scrolling their phones. It's just like a little bit. I remember someone said something like, "Oh, like cell phones have killed nightlife," and I was like, "But talk." And there was like. Everyone, like, no one is going out with the intention to, like,
meet
even
people.
if it's with, to meet people,
right.
Like, because you already, even if it's just, like, the main idea is to go out and, like, hook up with someone or, like, go on it, like, find a date or something like that. Friends. There's still, like, the need to socialize that is not there anymore because you can socialize with strangers.
Right, yeah, you think that, it's like, oh, why would I go through all of this potential awkwardness and maybe start a conversation with someone who I quickly realize I have no desire to talk to. Why would I do any of that?
Right.
When instead I can like spend some time on Grindr or just like clicking around on Instagram and get so much information quicker.
Right.
I had a friend who said that when he would be interested in someone, he would, I don't know what this actually entailed, but he said he would be very intentional about trying to get to know them or like introducing himself and like going through many of the first steps without that person ever discovering his social media. He wasn't even someone who had like a huge following or anything. It wasn't even anything like that.
Yeah.
And I think there's certainly something to that. I think about how much, this is me outing myself as the problem 100%. Where maybe I'm talking to a guy on Grindr and then maybe we've like sent some pictures back and forth. Maybe I glanced at his profile, like cute, great body, a lot of things seem to line up. And then I maybe click on his Instagram or I get his Instagram and I go there and then immediately I have like, maybe like I don't like the vibe.
Yeah.
And then it ruins it for me, which is so
icky,
stupid. It's so stupid of me. But I think our brain, it is like just a very human thing that our brain is trying to categorize everything and put everything in a box as quickly as possible. Like it's too much information, and I think we overestimate our ability to like make an accurate, an accurate assessment
to see like complexities and the like it's like we think we're not seeing things black and white, but that's exactly what we're doing. So I'm kind of like. Have thought about maybe in like a few years or maybe sooner rather than later, like transitioning off an iPhone and like maybe going back, like, cause like I only need text call. The only thing that I can't figure out is like, I do unfortunately need Spotify, but I'm like everything else I could possibly, I can do on my laptop and I'm so much more intentional with that. So maybe that's the thing our generation's like.
Yeah, it would be so. Yeah, music is the big one for me as well because there have been times where I'm going to, maybe I know exactly where I'm going. I'm going to meet a friend. Well, actually, that's the thing. In New York, I use City Bike to get most places, and you have to scan.
Yeah. No, they have us tied to those damn phones.
Yeah. And so, they're not any time recently, because I think at this time I've fully thrown in the towel, but I've had some, like, post-church camp waves, when you're feeling, like, really gung-ho about something.
Yeah.
About really being able to disconnect, but you can't. It's really challenging to leave it at home.
Yeah, no, it's impossible, especially can you imagine like going to a restaurant in New York and you're like you get there and you have a menu and then they're like, oh, that's the menu. It's like this little QR code. That's probably like I would say 30% to 50% of restaurants in the city.
hate it.
I hate it so much. And like what if you just like did not have an iPhone? Like what now?
Yeah, you're like I think they have to ask you to leave. No, I think do you think that every place has a physical menu? Do you think there are places that don't have a physical menu?
Probably.
I think they're actually probably right, yeah.
Yeah.
I saw an ad on Instagram the other day for in Brick, Have you heard about this?
It's okay. It sounds familiar.
Yeah,
actually.
it's like it. I mean, I have like the time limit thing set up on my phone where after an hour of all those social media combined, it will stop me. But you can easily like 15 more minutes, whatever.
Right.
This one, there's a actual physical like brick that like you leave at home. Like it by brick, I mean it's a little button.
Okay.
It's a little button, and in order to, and you set your time limits, or like you have it all set up so there's certain apps that you can use, and then maybe during certain times and other times you can't, and you can get around it, but you have to physically touch the brick.
Okay.
So like if let's say I'm going out around Manhattan and I need the City Bike app and I need my podcast app and Spotify and text, I could leave those, but everything else there's no way I can get around it unless.
See, I almost think like, is that the solution or is it just like discipline?
No, because this is my life coach isms coming in. Discipline is not. We need to. Willpower is a bankrupted concept.
Okay, fair enough.
We need to, release this idea of willpower, and instead, it's about having systems that work for you.
Okay. I much convincing.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I think we've talked about this. The fact that it feels like something to be proud of when you can watch. Like when everyone in the room can be watching something on, say, Netflix or whatever, without anyone being on their phone. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, no, it is.
Yeah, no, we're so unwell.
No, we are. I hope there needs to be like someone needs to lead like a anti-digital revolution or something.
I think like Lorde tried to do that with solar power and everyone clowned her for it.
Don't. That is absolutely not.
You don't think so?
Well, maybe she did, but something about it did not.
Do you know? Wait, are you not a solar power stan?
Someone was like, there's like I like some of the songs.
Okay.
I'm not a solar power stan now.
Okay.
I'm not like really like a huge Lorde person.
Oh.
I love Lorde, but I'm just like
it just sounded like you didn't.
No,
you said I'm not a huge Lorde person.
Well, it's like I like her in the like concept of Lorde, but it's like when the actual execution of listening to her music, like I listen to Ribs. Like that's kind of like
totally.
I listen to Greenlight. I listen to Greenlight Chromeo remix. I listen to some of the bigger ones.
Sure. I'm trying to think if there's anyone who
There's like I like them, but like when people start having complex conversations about like Lorde, I'm like that's what I don't know.
Who are you writing for the hardest right now?
Oh, that's a good question. Who am I writing for the hardest?
And not to hash out old convos, but remind me, who do you love to hate?
Who do you know?
No, I can't forget what your answer is. Is it Camila Cabello?
Yeah, Camila Cabello is like too easy to hate. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like everyone.
Okay, the thing is, I actually kind of low-key hated to love her for the long time.
Oh,
I
really?
really liked her. I mean, I love debut album. Romance is a great album. I am kind of shocked at the recent I Love It release. And by shocked, I mean surprised. Surprised.
And by surprise, I mean taken.
Yeah, taken aback.
Taken aback.
I will, in multiple ways. The first one being, I'm shocked that she released it and that it sounds like this. Shocked and disappointed. And then shocked part B is I'm really shocked at how many people are gagging. People who have never liked her before are saying, oh my gosh, I actually like this.
Yeah. I just came up with like one of my love to hates.
Okay.
I think is like, it's kind of like Harry Styles.
Oh. I think like as a gay man that doesn't not make sense.
Okay. The thing is I do like his music. But something about like the concept of how big he is really shocking.
The ugly dresses are annoying.
The ugly dresses, yeah. Yeah.
I'm all for the androgyny, and like he has some androgynous looks that have been cool.
Yeah.
Even like the ugly as it was kind of singlets that he would wear.
Yeah.
I mean, those aren't attractive, but there's at least something interesting about it. It's not like I showed up at this like colonial expose and beat this bitch up in the back and walked out wearing her garments.
No, it was bad. It's like, okay.
Yeah, okay. You wore the dress. Please don't.
Please don't.
Please don't ever do that again. Yeah.
I feel like, I Hate to Love probably is like Taylor Swift. But I mean,
Yeah.
that's not even hate to love. Like, she's so widely regarded. I did get into a conversation the other day. Someone was like, what do you think Travis Kelce thinks of her, like, writing these complex songs about? I was like, I don't think Travis
I don't
Kelce
think he thinks. Yeah. Monkey with two big symbols. Monkey. The discourse on Twitter of people saying that that her dating him is actually like statutory rape because of the amount of concussions he had.
They're like, he suffered like 4 severe concussions, and she wrote All Too Well 10-minute version. Like, this is not a relationship of equals.
Okay, something that has been... This is almost like tying this back to the whole just cell phone, social media phenomenon that is sweeping our nation for the last decade. Something that has been setting in more and more over the last year or so. And I think especially now that my Twitter is just... It really is so much Taylor Swift stuff. I guess like I got by the algorithm. But... I'm realizing that a jarring amount of the accounts that I see on Twitter are probably like 15-year-olds.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like these are I don't know, in not a weird way, because because it's just like these stan accounts who have like, you know, Taylor Swift or Ariana Grande as their Abby, and like maybe they're talking about like pop culture stuff, or maybe it's just other, you know, commentary.
Yeah, I would say it maxes out at like college. Like, there's not like really many adults, and if you do, like, you probably know who those adults are that have the free time to be able to like run a stan account. You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, it really does put things in perspective, because there's these people with these really fiery, crazy ass opinions, or it's like just like the funnel of where these conversations start, I think, with these very young people. But then, like, for you, me, and some of our other friends who have historically been on Twitter a decent amount, I know like you're kind of off Twitter right now.
Yeah.
Fierce. But, you know, we at our big age then, like, sit on the couch talking about the discourse of, say, Taylor Swift's private jet usage.
Yeah.
Which, like, this is a conversation that I think probably started with, like, 14-year-olds.
Right. It's like having the takes on the takes. Which
the takes on the takes. So, like, the takes are... We really should probably elevate above this at some point.
Yeah. For a little reference, goes along with, like, my cell phone hatred at the moment. I deleted TikTok, Twitter,
I never
Facebook.
got into the TikTok wave.
I
feel like I really count myself lucky there. That and vaping, I've kept my hands pretty darn clean.
Yeah, I did keep Instagram, but now I'm on Reels, so I'm like, it doesn't even, like, I'm still wasting the time. Probably not as much as I would on TikTok, but
right.
It's like I'm not like, but I use like it for so much for like a communication thing. There's some people I just like would not talk to if I didn't.
I also think you can use these things in a way that actually is healthier. One thing that's coming to mind, as you said, that is, if you were someone who, I mean, we all have those annoying friends. I'm one of them sometimes, who is constantly sending reels, and sometimes it's like, I ain't watching all that.
Yeah.
But also, that's certainly better than being on social media and not using it to actually be social with your friends.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it actually really is the people who do that are using this as a tool to foster companionship and relationship with actual, like, in the physical world.
Yeah. I do think the internet has done wonders for, like, weird people. Like,
sure.
There's so few outlets that weird people had to socialize, and, like, now they have this entire world open to them.
Like, do you consider yourself weird?
Good question. I actually didn't, maybe until you asked the question, but I'm like, okay, yeah.
No, I think I am weird, but I think I'm normal passing.
Well, fair.
Like, I think that the one boy I actually, like, really seriously talked to in New York, in my adulthood.
Yeah.
I mean, there were some times near the end, maybe this was, at the time I thought it was, like, a cute, endearing thing, and now I'm like, oh, I think this was him, like, actively deciding not to continue pursuing things with me. But there were just some moments where he was like, you're really weird.
Yeah, it doesn't. You think you're being?
Yeah.
And it's not like a Carrie Bradshaw way. It's not. They're like, you're quirky. It's like you're like, what you're doing right now is like legitimately. I've never.
Yeah, like I've never seen or experienced anything like this. Okay, let's see if there's any other things we have to burn through real quick, because we're going to try to, we got a little bit of time left. Okay, the term sober curious, you say it literally does not make any sense. I think you can be curious about sobriety.
You can be curious about sobriety, but like I saw this ad and they were like, "Oh, this drink is great for all of you people who are like sober or sober curious." And I'm like, literally, what are you curious?
Was it an alcoholic drink?
No, it was an alcohol-free drink. And like for sober curious, but I'm like,
are all these like, is it a mocktail? Are these just sugary drinks? You know what I mean? Is that all a mocktail
that, like,
is? It's
kind of
just
tastes
a
like
lot
alcohol.
Okay.
Which is so weird.
What are they putting in it that makes it taste like alcohol? Is this like it's because it's not kombucha, because kombucha technically is
fermented.
Yeah.
It has like a little bit of alcohol in it.
Technically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. But I was just like and something about the term just sober curious. I just don't like what do you need to know?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to say something, and it's going to sound like I'm arguing against you, but I think what I'm saying is actually probably furthering your point, that I probably have called myself sober curious at a few different points over the last, I don't know, like 1 to 4 years. And I think what that just means is I'm like probably in a constant state of, okay, maybe a little bit less.
Yeah.
But I think also maybe that's probably, I think it's also just growing up.
Right. Yeah. I think there's something like where you are like on the spectrum of like an alcoholic to sober. Like I think people are like, you can either drink or you can't, but you don't have to call yourself sober curious if you're just like making the decision to only have 2 or 3 drinks when you go out.
Right. Well, I think also in our scene, we're with people who, there's a lot of different substances to pick from.
Yeah.
I think that sober curious sometimes means like, oh, I'm trying to figure out, like, I think I might actually want to cut out something altogether. I'm not really sure what it is yet. I'm not sure what's in, I'm not sure what's out, and maybe, I guess I don't know what, like, I feel like, I don't know what that would actually mean on the ground.
Right,
Other than like, oh, I'm thinking of maybe not doing this one thing tonight, but just doing other things, which I guess, like, even if you're not super curious, like, you're probably not throwing the whole kitchen sink at it every single night. You know what I mean? So I guess I don't really know what that would mean either. Okay, well, I think we can just wrap it up. Do you have any, like, parting thoughts? Well, I guess... So yeah, I think we really like wrapped up the sober curious conversation. I think we solved that one for sure.
Yeah, and like I'm stone cold sober right now, and that's just never gonna actually solve stupidity because my phone died last time we tried to record.
There's like a charger with an extension cord like right next to it. It's really actually wild how this has occurred.
No, it is.
Okay, well, second time's the charm. Okay, well, listeners who are still with us, thanks so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you laughed. I hope you learned something. And I hope you join us again next week.
Yeah. We'll be back.
We'll be back, whether you like it or not. Okay. Bye. Kisses.
Bye.